Hello everyone, welcome to Knowledge India once again. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to create a CloudFront distribution. Right, so we'll create a simple CloudFront distribution around an S3 bucket, and that should give you an understanding that how to set it up, what are a few things to take care while doing it. So before we go ahead and do it, let us just quickly take a look at the different edge locations which are there across the world. So you can see on the screen, we have different edge locations across the world. It is these edge locations are used by CloudFront, which is Amazon's CDN service, content delivery network service. Uh, so these edge locations are used by CloudFront to basically cache your assets, right? So in case you are running a website and you have hosted it out of one particular region, let's say you have hosted it out of London. So you got your S3 bucket, that is where all your static assets like your HTML file, CSS, JavaScript, everything is there. And now if you go ahead and serve your website via CloudFront, people accessing your website from US or accessing your website from Australia, the website will get served from one of the edge locations which would be near to them, and you can see the list of edge locations on the screen. Also, CloudFront would be able to cache these assets at these edge locations, and hence, again, repeated access does not happen from the origin. Right, every time it does not flow from London to Australia. Rather, one time it goes there and then it gets cached, and very quickly it will get downloaded for the subsequent users. Sorry. Now let us go ahead and see how can we create a CloudFront distribution. It's very simple. So here I'm there on my S3 dashboard. I've got different buckets. So I'm going to create, put some assets into my hit website bucket. This is one bucket. So what I did, in the hit website, I've uploaded two files. One is index.html. It is simple one HTML file, and there is a logo like one JPG file. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and now I'll create a CloudFront distribution around this S3 bucket. Okay, so I'm there on the CloudFront dashboard. I'll go ahead and say create distribution. Now CloudFront distribution supports two types of protocols. First one is for all the static assets like your HTML, CSS files and all such things. You can go ahead and use this. And second one is for a streaming purpose. So if you want to host your video or you want to host your audio files on any streaming media, then choose the second one, which is RTMP protocol, right? So in this case, we'll choose the first one. Now you need to go ahead and choose your origin domain name. In this case, it automatically shows all the ELBs and S3, right? So I'll go ahead and choose the one hit website.s3.amazonaws.com. I need to give origin path. This origin path, what is the origin path? In case I want to, my assets are there within a folder, right? Within a folder in this bucket, I can give that folder name here. And while giving that, you can see here, it says you need to give like this way. You should not put slash at the last, but in my case it is there at the starting itself, so I'll just leave it blank. Origin ID, this gets auto generated, or you can give some something with which you want to remember this. So I'll call it default origin. Now next thing is really good, restrict bucket access. This is important. I would like to restrict it, meaning if I say yes, what happens is a new identity will get created. What this identity would do is, this identity is getting created for CloudFront. Now using this identity, CloudFront would be allowed to read the content from this S3 bucket, but nobody else would be able to access anything from this S3 bucket, and for that the bucket policies would be updated. I would say yes. So I'm saying yes, create a new one and restrict bucket access. Okay, then that's going down. Now this is the default behavior. So as part of CloudFront distribution, you create two things: origins and behaviors. Now in this particular tutorial, I'm showing you with one origin, and the default behavior will take you to that origin. There is another tutorial on the channel where you can go ahead and see how can you use two origins and two behaviors when you want to set up static and dynamic content both behind the CloudFront distribution. Now, do I want to allow HTTP, HTTPS both, or do I want to redirect all HTTP requests to HTTPS, or I do not want to allow HTTP and only want to allow HTTPS? I'll go ahead and choose this. This seems to be better. Leave these things as default. This is one important. How much do I want to cache? Now, default is 86400 seconds, which is 24 hours. I can go ahead and customize it and give anything I want, right? So we'll just leave it default as such. We are not doing streaming, so I'm just leaving some of these things. In case you want, you can choose compression and other stuff. I'm gonna just tell you the important ones. Now there is something called price class. Now, in case you think that your users come from all over the world, it's better to choose use all edge locations, this pricing class. Or else if your users are restricted to a particular geographies, you can choose the respective things. Remember, if you are not choosing use all edge locations, then for the users who are coming outside of the geography which you have chosen, their performance would not be that great, right? It will be a bit slow. If you want to use a WAF, web application firewall, in front of your CloudFront, you can choose here. You need to create it and then you'll be able to choose here. Web application firewall is a managed service from Amazon which looks for all the abusive patterns of traffic coming to your website, for example DDoS attacks, etc., and it can filter it out. If you have a custom domain which you have bought, right? For example, you have a website called, let's say, knowledgeindia.in. You can go ahead and specify it here if you have it. And in addition to that, default root objects, I'm gonna say index.html, so that if somebody doesn't write up to the full URL and just writes the CloudFront subdomain, uh, automatically this one would be taken. Do I want to enable logging on off? I can do. So I'll just go ahead and say create distribution. Now, as you can see, it is getting created. It is in progress. Now this takes roughly 10 to 15 minutes to get created. I'll just pause this video and we'll be back as it is created. Okay, so our CloudFront distribution is deployed now. We'll go ahead and open this URL, and you can see that it is opening up, right? So without writing index.html, it is going to that particular page, right? If we go ahead and write here, our logo also opens up, right? Okay, so I want to show you one more thing here. If we go, so remember we had chosen that only the CloudFront user should be able to access things from this bucket and not like nobody else should be able to access, and we said update the policy. So because of that, for this particular S3 bucket, the bucket policy has been updated, right? You can see here, what does it say? Allow for the principal AR and AWS IAM, one CloudFront user is created. This is the name of the user. One user is created. That user only would be able to do all the get object from this bucket. And on what? On this particular bucket, right? So so this is the bucket policy applied. So now if any other user tries to take from here, well, they will not be able to. Okay, so uh, that's it. I think this should help. This is just a simple method how you can go ahead and create a CloudFront distribution. Remember, CloudFront distribution is a global resource, right? It is not a specific to any region. It's a global service, and with this, you can go ahead and cache your assets across the world at different edge locations and improve your website performance. Please see the other video which explains how to serve static and dynamic content both out of a CloudFront distribution and what benefits you get there. Please go ahead and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel to get more upcoming videos. Thank you. Bye bye.